My name is Christina Sexton. My position right now is a BI family coordinator at the Lenexa office. I have been with FAC for 2.5 years right now. But I was a BI for 1.5 years of that.
My name is Chris Miller. I am a senior lead behavioral interventionist. I've been in the BI department since 2017. Briefly, I was a case coordinator.
I have always loved working with children and families, and I was teaching in the urban core, and I wasn't making quite enough to make ends meet, and I had a friend recommend Foster Adopt Connect and me applying for a BI position. The thing about BI that really drew me to it is working with kids who were really struggling with trauma and their behaviors, because I'd had so much experience working urban core with students who struggled with behaviors, and when you have 25 kids in a classroom, you can't manage those behaviors individually. But I was really looking forward to working with kids one-on-one on those behaviors and working with families to help support improvement in behaviors.
To be successful, you can't be afraid to fail. We work with these kids, we start working with them, and we really don't know them. We're building rapport, we're learning about their behaviors, we're learning about their triggers, we're learning about what they respond to, but we won't know what works. It takes quite a while. So don't be afraid to fail. If an intervention doesn't work, try something else. If an intervention does work, stick with that. Keep using it until something better comes along or it stops working. But you got to try a lot of different things to find those 1 or 2 things that really, really work. The client that I've been working with the longest, I felt like I was making progress with him. He was really turning around a lot of behaviors and interacting well with the family, with his siblings. But I didn't really realize the impact I was making until I had a conversation with Mom. I was asking her how things went this weekend, and she got kind of teary-eyed. And I thought, oh no, what happened? And she said, well, I had to run to the grocery store, and my client was the only one in the home, and she didn't want to call a babysitter to come stay with him, which is what usually happens when she has to run errands. She felt like she couldn't take him into the public because of the risk of behaviors. But she decided that day to take him to the grocery store. And she said that he was perfect. And the whole time she was telling the story, she was just, tears just flowing. And that's what made me realize that I'm not just working with these kids. I'm working with the parents and the families too. And just a little thing of going to a grocery store was such a huge deal to the mother that's when I realized that I'm not just a BI for the kids, I am a BI for the family.
One of my clients that I worked with long term was really struggling whenever I got there. Every day I would get there and the caregiver would let me know about the 16 things that had gone wrong that day. And every day I would get there and toys would be dumped all over the living room. Something would be broken, a piece of furniture even, a hole kicked in a wall, holes in doors. And slowly over time, with consistency and routine and lots of positives and lots of recognition for all the little things, I kept seeing these behaviors improve. I'd show up on a shift and the living room would not be a disaster. I'd show up on a shift and the caregiver had planned ahead and things were nice and organized, and the client had spent time helping with that. And over time, we saw lots of improvements for the family. And while I was working with this client, he was able to not reunify, but begin the process of reunification with his mother and stepfather, and also his little brother and sister, who were not in the same home as him. So it was interesting and wonderful to see the process of him interacting with his family when they started visits, because I was lucky enough to be there. It was also really neat to see his parents taking on moments where they took control, because they were learning how I was intervening during behaviors. It was neat to see them try to make changes in their own behaviors to support his behaviors. And they did reunify last year. And I know it's been a process, and since I'm no longer in their home, I don't get to see it. But it was really incredible to see the changes over time, and to see the stress level in the adults decrease and the stress level in the client decrease, and see all the positive changes, the ability to interact appropriately with his siblings, to be silly and funny and not get mad when his little brother would take his toy. And those are all things that were a process. The coolest thing about Foster Adopt Connect, I think, is that we're so inclusive, and we want to reach out to everyone. I'm a mom of a trans masculine child, and so when I applied, I felt so relieved to be in a place where I could talk about my own kid without people putting their opinions on me. And I think that's really neat whenever we go into homes and we can support LGBTQ+ youth. We can support youth of color where they may not have had that support before. We can, just lift people up. And the coolest thing are the people that work here. I have never been in an environment where everybody is so positive. And yeah, we have some moments here and there, because every workplace does. But overall, everyone just kind of lifts each other up. And as a whole organization, it's like teamwork all the time, and everybody works together. And I really, really appreciate the atmosphere here, and that we're wanting to do good for everybody. We don't leave people out in our services.